Hey, it's Fayd. So I want to talk about two things that DE has done in Warframe. One being an extremely disrespectful aspect of the game that needs to be changed, and the other being a complete lack of knowledge when it comes to basic tenets of game design. So the first thing, and they are like inextricably linked, these two specific things. So they're relevant to each other. The first thing is Desecrate and Pilfering Swarm, like those two together. Because if you don't farm with those, it's a waste of your time. And so their existence requires you to farm with them if you don't want to, be doing that thing for 3 or 4 times longer, than you would otherwise. And that's disrespectful. Like, it doesn't value our time as players, okay? That's my basic point with it. So the next thing is, in my opinion, a much bigger deal. And as far as like suggestions, right, for dealing with the first thing, just get rid of those two abilities. Replace them with something. Replace that augment with something that's cooler and more fun, and then that'll actually make Hydroid and even like maybe a somewhat usable Warframe, at least more so than he is now. I'm not saying he's not usable, but let's face it, he's basically a meme. And then get rid of Desecrate. Do something cool with it. Necros is actually a decent Warframe even without it. Oh, what a great reward. But like Necros needs some love, and I don't mean that Necros needs like Desecrate to be changed alone. I mean like Terrify needs to actually do something. There needs to be some sort of rework with his ulti, but that's not even the point of this conversation. Like, those two abilities need to be gone, and drop rates need to be universally increased. Maybe not to the point that they were if those abilities were in play, but at least increased. Okay? Now, the next thing, before I point it out, I'm going to explain this tenet of game design that he has ignored, and maybe some people will be able to take a guess at the Warframe and the abilities that I'm pointing at before I actually name them. If you're a design consultant in a video game, you're talking to people that they know how to make the game, like they have the skill set, but they don't have the knowledge of creating a game that's going to be playable and enjoyable. One of the first things that you're going to tell people is that they need a currency exchange. Everything in their game has to be an exchange of currency. That's not meaning credits in Warframe or gold in WoW, okay? It's meaning health, energy, damage, all of it. Right? Tit for tat. You spend health to stay alive. You spend energy to heal. You spend energy to do damage. You spend time to do damage. You spend time to get health. All these things, okay? And the less time, right, the more effective the energy or the currency exchange is, okay? The less energy you spend, the more effective the exchange is. Right? So there is a currency exchange loop in every video game that I can think of. And I can't think of any video games that break the loop of exchange except Warframe. And there probably are some, okay? But I can't think of any others. Because it's literally a core tenet of game design. Like I said, it's one of the first things that you will ever explain to a complete layman. Alright? How do I know this? Because I've watched design videos, alright? Like, now, Trinity breaks the currency exchange. She removes it completely. It's gone. It does not exist anymore. The reason that this is really horrible is because it takes gameplay that requires a risk-reward assessment and turns it into button mashing. So, Warframe, risk-reward, right? I know, what a meme. But no, it doesn't matter. You still need at least the illusion, right? That's why enemies shoot back at you in a game where arguably it's nearly impossible to die, right? Doesn't matter that I'm playing an RS. any Warframe should be pretty damn hard to die on in this game, alright? Like, but at least there's an illusion of danger. The enemies shoot back, okay? Trinity basically removes the illusion. She gives you infinite energy, okay? She gives you infinite health, damage reduction, and what's more, she allows herself to do that infinitely. So, because Trinity can give herself back energy, she doesn't lose currency to get currency. Like that, she doesn't lose one currency to exchange it for another currency. She keeps both. So if you're going to Walmart and you're buying groceries or something, I don't know why you would buy groceries at Walmart, but whatever. You spend $20 and you get $3 in change, all right? Because what you got equated to $17 in value. They give you $3 back because you gave them a 20. But if you're Trinity, you actually just get $23 back. They give you a 20 and your change. Okay? Doesn't make any sense. If you're Trinity, there's a lot of Warframes that can just abuse your abilities to give them infinite energy, like Frost, like Nezha. You just turn the game off, right? And that's a horrible game design. Like, no. I don't even need to justify that any further than saying that it's bad for the game. If this is for some reason not understandable, then I don't know what to say. Like, just straight up, you break the currency exchange flow, the game is no longer a game, it's typing in Notepad. That's what happens. Any game that did this, it would be the same thing. Imagine if in World of Warcraft, right? I've barely played the game, but imagine if Death Knights had an ability that they could actually spam with, that didn't trigger a global cooldown, that just gave them infinite resource. That they could macro it, okay? How broken would that be, right? Everyone would play Death Knight. Well, yeah. Now, Warframe has the same situation. The only reason that Trinity isn't in almost every mission is, one, because the game is intense, just incredibly easy. That I can't explain like how easy this game is compared to any game that requires, you know, actual ability and mechanical skill to play. I'm not bashing Warframe necessarily, although it is kind of a bash because I think this game needs some serious content. But yeah. Anyway, energy pizzas. All right, this is how those two other Warframes are linked to Trinity, by the way. The reason Trinity's not everywhere is because, one, the content is easy, and two, you can get energy pizzas to give yourself energy. All right. And the Warframes you use to farm polymer bundles, which are used to craft energy pizzas, are Necros and Hydroid. Also Trinity, so that they can spam their abilities like Desecrate and their ultimate, Hydroid ultimate for Pilfering Swarm. Okay? If you didn't have a Trinity, or maybe like, let's say, a Harrow or something, if you didn't have an ability that broke the currency exchange, then you wouldn't be able to farm for energy pizzas like that, because you would have to spend energy pizzas to farm for energy pizzas quickly, right? That's because energy pizzas don't break the currency exchange. You have to work for them. They take a resource to build, and trying to use energy pizzas to farm for the resource that builds them is not effective because it's a currency exchange. But being able to farm for energy pizzas with Trinity means that you can then have this, you know, I guess, infinite loop of, you don't need Trinity because you can use pizzas, and you use Trinity to farm pizzas. So now you don't need to worry about energy ever. If you're talking about Warframes, like, let's say Inaros is a good example, actually, that come close to breaking this currency exchange because of, let's say, Hunter Adrenaline, right? He still doesn't actually break it, because if there was actually challenging content in this game, Inaros would be capable of dying. And losing health would actually mean that you could die, therefore you would need to spend that energy to stay alive, right? Right now, 100 adrenaline on an Naros is literally just quality of life. Like, infinite energy, yay, right? Or at least somewhat infinite. You can cast your abilities at a relatively quick rate and expect to have energy left, right? As long as you're taking damage. But again, that's just a result of Warframe having no challenging content. So it's not a true break of the currency exchange. Hopefully this made sense. I can't even say anything more about this. It's such a core aspect of games that breaking it is just, I keep thinking those are enemies, that breaking it is just, it's not something that the developers ever consider. And DE has, and I think it's just the result of them being too, I guess, scared of making the game difficult. That's why it hasn't been nerfed yet. For instance, when Fortuna was first released, it was too hard, and a bunch of people bitched about it, so they made it easier. But now they're going back and they're like, oh, hey, this is way too easy. We need to make it harder, you know? And Trinity should have gotten that treatment a long time ago. I still think, like I said, that the Necros and Hydroid situation is disrespectful even without Trinity. But without Trinity, that situation basically just doesn't exist to begin with because they can't do it anymore, right? They don't have infinite energy. So, yeah. I doubt the devs are ever going to watch this. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are going to say Trinity's like the best thing that ever happened to Warframe because people love their lazy meta-slave farming. But from a purely objective standpoint, Trinity is actually damaging the game, not helping it. And that's not arguable. From a game health standpoint, Trinity is not a good thing. So, yeah, peace out.